He was just a quiet calligrapher in Old Delhi, until one night, he met the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his dream. From glowing ink to a mute boy saying his first word, from jinn attacking his home, to a miracle that brought him back from the dead. But why did the jinn fear him? What secret did an old blind man whisper to him? And why did the Prophet, peace be upon him, say, "You have loved me in absence. Now you shall love me in presence"? This is not just a story. It's a witness to what true love for the Prophet can unlock. Watch till the end. If your heart trembled, even for a moment, don't scroll. Watch the full story, share it, and revive the love of RasulAllah, peace be upon him, in every home. He wrote the name of Muhammad, peace be upon him, every night, until one day, the Prophet walked into his life. In the dim alleyways of Old Delhi, where the scent of roasted almonds and incense drifted through the evening air, lived a quiet calligrapher named Fahim. He wasn't rich, nor did he seek fame. His world revolved around ink, parchment, and the name of his beloved. Muhammad, peace be upon him, every day, Fahim would sit before a small wooden table, gently dipping his handcrafted reed pen into black ink and scripting the names of Allah and his messenger in divine curves that brought comfort to all who saw them. But what many didn't know was that Fahim had once been a skeptic, a man lost in the world of rationality, who dismissed religion as folklore. Until one fateful night, it began with a dream. Fahim had been asleep during the late hours of the night, when the call of the far prayer was still a whisper in the future. He found himself walking in a desert. The sky above him was golden, and the ground warm beneath his feet. In the distance, a figure robed in white stood beside a palm tree. Though Fahim had never seen him before, he knew who it was. "Ya RasulAllah," Fahim whispered. The man turned, smiling with a compassion that pierced Fahim's soul. "Fahim," he said, in a voice that melted away every doubt Fahim had ever carried, "the ink in your heart is dry. Come to me, and I shall fill it." He awoke trembling. That very morning, Fahim performed wudu for the first time in years. He walked into the local masjid like a man returning to his mother after decades. He didn't speak of his dream to anyone, afraid that it might dissolve into illusion if shared. But something had changed. He began learning about the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, memorizing his sayings, weeping over the injustices he bore, and falling deeper in love with each page of the seerah. One night, while copying the names of Allah, Fahim heard a knock at the door. Strange, he thought. It was nearly midnight. He opened the door to find a blind man, his face wrinkled like old papyrus, his eyes fogged white. "Are you the one who writes the name of the messenger with tears in his eyes?" the man asked. "Yes," Fahim replied, his voice uncertain. "Then know this," the man said, "you are being watched." Before Fahim could ask by whom, the man turned and walked into the night, vanishing into the fog that rolled off the Yamuna River. From that day, strange occurrences began to haunt him. His ink would glow faintly in the dark. Whispers could be heard at far, gentle, rhythmic praises of the Prophet, peace be upon him, echoing through his room when no one else was around. And sometimes, as he wrote, his hand would move faster than he intended, tracing names and scripts he had never studied. He once found an old parchment beside his pillow inscribed with, "Whoever loves Muhammad more than his own soul, he shall walk among the prophets in the gardens of everlasting delight." Shivers traced his spine. Determined to understand the mystery, Fahim traveled to the ancient city of Medina. There he sat in the courtyard of Masjid an-Nabawi, his heart bursting with longing. As he prayed near the Rada, he felt something warm touch his chest. When he opened his eyes, a man dressed in white robes was standing before him. "You came," the man said, a smile illuminating his face. It was the man from his dream. Fahim fell to his knees, sobbing. "You have loved me in absence," said the man, "and now your love has granted you presence." Before Fahim could respond, he blacked out. He awoke in a hospital room. The doctor said he had collapsed near the Rada and had no pulse for 7 minutes. But when they had nearly pronounced him dead, his heart began to beat again. Fahim knew. He had seen the Prophet. Upon his return to Delhi, he no longer remained the quiet calligrapher. He became known as the man whose love for Muhammad, peace be upon him, brought the dead back to life. People came from far and wide to witness his calligraphy, and often those who touched his pages felt warmth surge through their palms. One night, a young boy named Ryan came to him. He was mute since birth. His mother wept, pleading for Fahim to write the name of the Prophet for her son. Fahim obliged. He wrote in the most delicate script. As the boy touched the paper, he gasped and spoke his first word, Muhammad, peace be upon him. Gasps filled the room. His mother fainted. But miracles weren't without consequences. Soon, dark shadows began lurking around Fahim's home. At night, he would hear screams. Once, he found an old taweez with blood-stained thread nailed to his door. A local scholar told him that the jinn were envious of his love, and that among them were those who hated any who spread the light of Muhammad. Fahim was warned not to write at night, but he couldn't help himself. One night, overcome with emotion after reading a hadith, he lit his lamp and began writing the name of the Prophet again. As he completed the final stroke, his lamp extinguished by itself, and from the walls came crawling shadows that hissed and howled. The parchment caught fire but didn't burn. Instead, the flame danced around the name, forming a halo of light. From within that light came a voice. Fear not, O lover of Muhammad. Write, and I shall guard. Fahim began crying uncontrollably. He prostrated on the cold stone floor, his tears mixing with the ashes. That night, he didn't sleep. He wrote verse after verse in praise of the Prophet, peace be upon him, until dawn, when a golden bird landed on his window, watching him intently. It left a single feather on his desk and flew off. That feather, no matter how many times he touched it, never faded. It glowed faintly and smelled of musk. Years passed. Fahim became old, but his hand never trembled when writing the blessed name. On the day of his passing, he wrote a final line. Ya RasulAllah, I loved you beyond reason. Accept me beyond time. He passed with a smile, his hands still stained with ink. The people of Delhi buried him with the parchment still on his chest. That night, a fragrance enveloped the entire street. The muezzin who came to call far reported seeing a man in white leading a group of riders through the alley, whispering salutations. And though no one saw Fahim again, those who passed his grave swore they felt their hearts soften and tears come uninvited. Because true love for Muhammad, peace be upon him, never ends. It lives, it guides, it saves.